first thing we're going to start is right here. So I'm going to work on the smaller pad. Again, it's 11 by 14. And I want you to very lightly just find the middle and draw a vertical right down. So you could barely see it. It's just sort of a guide. And notice how lightly I did it. I'm using, again, charcoal pencil. I will be switching back and forth with different types of charcoal pencil and also different charcoal sticks to demo that. Now, notice that the horizontal is not in the middle. I didn't put it in the middle. The horizontal, the horizontal is 1 1/4 times up. So if you find the middle, let's say it's right here for me, I'm going to go 1/4 of the way up. And that's where I'm going to put it. Just about. It does not have to be super precise. We're going to be looking at something called negative space. So what we're going to do with the first one here is I'm going to ask you to draw. You could see it as the white shape or the red shape. So on this upper, let's call it quadrant, I am going to get a sense of where does the shape begin? Is it in the middle? Is it a little bit above it? And I'm going to get a sense of how each simple line has a little bit of an angle. How big is this line in relationship to this one? I notice a little bit of a dent coming out right here, not too big, as this one all the way, it curves all diagonal back in. And then I have how much of a diagonal. See, I begin to make a sense of the angle of the line. And then obviously this one's a little bit longer. And then I see a little tiny dent there. Very easy, it felt like. Could I have done better? I believe so. If I observe a little bit closer, if I pace myself, if I take my time, I could have added a little more nuance to this line. Okay, I hope everyone's ready, because it is kind of a 30-second drawing. I don't want you to think about it too much. We're going to move to the second quadrant. So now, I'm going to ask you to, I see something here. I don't even have to think, because I could probably just connect them. And I'm observing very simply the right angle and the size of the line, the direction of the line, any quality of the line that I can perceive. And I'm also getting a sense of the relationship between the simple shapes that these lines are now producing. Now, I may begin to recognize something. I want you to notice that usually that's when you begin to get in your own way. If I think this is like a bird. It's the back of a bird. When you identify something, you begin to add your own knowledge or what you think of the information into it. So you skip steps. Let's go to the next. So we're moving over to this quadrant down here. And I'm guessing, okay, take a close look. Because I don't think it matches right here. It's way closer to the middle. So I'm going to move it right here. And it's completely vertical to me. How long? Just about there. Then I have, again, the key element here is recognizing the proportion, the length, the size of the line. But the angle is so key. And how we can make sense of a reading between one line and the other, between one angle and the other, between what starts to be a shape and what's becoming another. I'm just going to take it all the way there. And I'm going to add our next one. These are too easy. That's what I want you to feel as you're drawing even the most complex thing. The idea is always to simplify it this much in order for you to take an advantage. Oh, wow. Okay, so it just got really interesting here. So I gave you this vertical, horizontal, just as a guide. It is not necessarily to always draw it. You need to visualize it. It is a helpful guide, as you can see here. So this, as my main point here, I could see that this Finding that red shape, I could go a little bit to the left, and it takes me out, probably to right about here. And as I come up across, I'm going to come across this vertical line. Whether it's up here, or down here, I need to understand what is the relationship, and it just serves me to confirm. Yep, that looks about right. It's not supposed to be higher. And as I draw this, and I find another point on this line that allows me to see the shape, and now it also serves me to find somewhat the relationship just above it, which should be right about here. And notice that we cannot make any sense of these shapes. At best, some of you may say, that looks like the map of Vermont or Minnesota or something. At best, we could probably recognize these as maps. But we absolutely see the simplified shapes. Notice here we move down, and this one is a little tricky because we kind of get a sense of it right about here. So we're second guessing. So we need a point of relationship. And I could see that this one just angles out and away from the vertical as this one comes up. And I'm trying to really, really observe. This is, again, exercise and observation, where one element is giving me another clue, the beginning of this one. The placement in space. Now, as soon as I begin to identify, and for most of you, I think you're already there. Most of you probably are. We can begin to identify this as, it looks like a person sitting on an edge here with the elbow leaning. And I could probably just come around. And I guess for now, we could just go ahead and finish this. All we were missing was a line right here. There we go. So what you just did was to draw a sitting figure in a very interesting pose only through looking at the negative space. Now, when I talk about negative space, if I recognize this now as a person, a boy or a girl, what I'm talking about is, and you can go ahead and follow me along with this here. What I did was place all of my attention, all of my focus on the negative space, not the positive. And what is positive? Our subject. So I just made the space around it my main subject. But it's recognized as negative space. So here's a very important thing visually. I want you to identify a negative spot, a negative space shape in this figure, and fix your eyes on it. And pick another one, a different one, a negative shape, a negative space shape that you just see here. It could be the space between the head and the shoulder, or in the torso, or between the legs. Pick one of those and stay fixated on it. Just observe it as I switch over. The key of today is learning how to see those, meaning these, when you're looking at this. Now that sounds like an easy task, and actually it is. The more you practice it, the more you do it, the easier it gets. Now, where does this come from? It comes from here. So if you see, let me show you really quick, getting rid of some of these images. You either see a vase or two faces. Now, if you don't see it like this, I'm going to switch it over to the other side. So if you see a vase, you're looking at the white space. If you see two faces, you're looking at the red space. So the key here is when you see two faces, notice how the white just becomes the space. But if you're looking at the red vase. Notice how the faces just became the space. And your brain is so amazing, it could do this with ease. It could just flick back and forth, on and off, from subject to negative space, subject space, where you can identify. Can everybody see the vase and the two faces? Hopefully. Shaking your heads? Yes, good. Because that's what we're going to try to do. Always refer you back. So the phase vase. I'm going to say that over and over. Phase vase, phase vase. Just to remind you what it is we're looking for.